Now I want to show you how to put your spindle, I'll call it a spindle, I have a number of these, back inside the bearing. These are rough fitted, which means once you get the bearing inside in the case, excuse me, and to do that we have this already out and we take a new bearing, alright? A lot of people make a lot of mistakes where if you spin this right now, you're going to feel it's a little bit rough. That's the way these things are. Okay, other bearings that you'll spin will be, you know, really smooth, but if these are rough, because they have a lot of play in them, which is just the way they are. What you want to look for is if you have any gravelly, you know, stop, and you can feel it. It's either going to be, you're either going to let it go or you're not. But what we have, let's just say if you have one of these bearing, this is called a bushing or bearing driver kit. I got this from my father. I've never used it, but basically you take whatever size bushing or bearing, I'm just going to do this for example, but you take your new bearing right here, like I said, you take a hammer and hit the other side and it'll all come out. Remember, this is a Honda 50, it's not a tugboat 80,000 horsepower engine, it's basically a glorified weed whacker. So what we do is we take our new bearing and we get the approximate size that will fit the outside bearing races, because you do not want to pound on the inside races or the, you want to pound on the very outside and not anything to do with the inside. So you get the approximate size, you start it in there, and what you do is you will lightly tap the bearing in place. This won't be there, but you'll lightly tap it in place until it goes thunk, 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 and you'll know it's there. It'll just say thunk, okay? Now, in order to get the spindle to fit correctly, what we use are these three beautiful Honda tools. Okay? And they work on the Honda crankshafts for the Honda Elite or Dio or any of the stroker crankshafts that you have to pull the crankshafts through the bearings. You have two bearings, you have to use them. And what we do is, this is called a collet right here, okay? Now we don't use it on this side, but what happens is we take the spindle and we start it through here, and it will, it's like I say, it's pressure fit, form fitting. It will start, God, this light sucks cock. Damn it. Can't get any good lighting in this bitch. Shit, how am I expecting to make a decent video with all this bullshit going on? Excuse my French, but this is pissing me off. Alright. Alright, fine, I'll use extra lighting. Union lighting. Once you get this started, God, that's horrible lighting. What'll happen is the spindle will go down, and you'll probably have 3/4 of an inch sticking up of this area right here. This base should fit snug right here. It won't, okay, because you need to pull this the rest of the way through. So what we do is we get, God, the lighting is just horrible. Maybe I can do it like this. This is a $75 Honda tool. It works on the crankshaft bearings and it also works on the rear. It'll also work on this. we put this on the other side. And I'm not going to flip the motor because I'm too tired to do it. But you flip the motor like that, or I mean you put it on like this. Then what we do is we take this end, and you can see it's got threads in there, right? We thread this part onto the end of the clutch end right there. Okay, we thread it onto that. So we have this part threaded on. Okay, now just think about we're reversing this, and I'm really tired. Then what we do is we take a wrench and we start turning this. Okay, and as we turn it, this starts to go upwards, and as it goes upwards, it starts pulling the shaft through the bearing until it seats. The only problem with this whole little adventure is that this is $75, this is $85, and this is another $90. When I first started this, I went to my local Honda shop, and they are required to carry every tool for every bike they use. They sold me these. They were brand new, even though Honda shop's been in business for 20 years. They never used them. But I have to give a shout out to a gentleman in Hawaii who I asked years ago to give me some advice. His name was Dave Toba, or David Toba, or as I like to refer to him as Sir David Toba, because the guy was an absolute fucking genius. He looked at my bike one time, my Dio, and told me more about it than I could ever imagine. I've tried to contact him lately, but I don't blame him, you know. Us white howlies, you know, I don't blame him. But anyone that can build a Dio, okay, that can smoke a 600 RR Honda has got my respect. And he was willing, you know, what I really appreciated about Mr. Toba, and I believe he's from Hawaii, and I believe that he owns most of the world's racing records on eighth mile speed records, but I don't know. I just think he does. He didn't say anything about that. But he was willing to send me sight unseen, not knowing who the fuck I was. He was willing to send me $400 worth of tools because he knew how much I cared about the bike. And to me, I highly respect the man. And I think, and I don't know, I've never been to Hawaii, so I don't know, but he, I believe he owned or owns Tobatech Racing. That's a machine shop, I believe. One of these days when I go over there, I'm going to go out to the islands, I'm going to find this shop, I'm going to track this man down, I'm going to shake his hand, I'm going to buy him a beer, and I'm going to say, listen, you need to go out to dinner with me tonight, and I don't care if you're eating steak or prawns or whatever the fuck you want, you got it. Because whatever that man is, he is a two-stroke absolute genius when I talk to him. And I'd just like to say, thanks, Dave. All due respect.